Coming up on today's show.
So color is the way we can awaken up that system to make it appeal to those people who are really creative. And that's important because those are the people who are most challenged by organization and having structure.
When we first launched Viewables many years ago, the tagline was creating a filing masterpiece. And so the whole idea of the artist, so it is something, if you have creative skills, you can go wild. And now in the new version too, we've added the icons so you can put little pictures on the labels. Again, it's another level of categorization and part 2 of why organizing with color today on Keeping You Organized. Hello and welcome to Keeping You Organized. This is part 2 of Why Organizing with Color. We're with Louise Kurzika from everythingstogether.com. And Louise, last time we covered 2 of the points of why organizing with color. We had color memory and
color distinction.
Color distinction.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's just recap a little bit about, just real quickly about those 2.
So with color and memory, we know that we get a greater association when we use color. We want to tag that information with some kind of connection, and color will do it for us. Brighter colors are more alert for us in terms of creating that connection, and we want to get it as fast as we can to long-term memory, because that's going to save us the time and the effort later when we use a color-coded system.
Well, now let's talk about the next 2 points, the final 2 points of why organizing with color.
Right, so eye appeal is going to be one of those for the creativity, and the other will be how to build productivity.
Good.
Okay, so another thing that we can look at in terms of color and why is this eye appeal. We deal with people all the time who are very creative, and the one complaint I have heard from the first day I came into this industry till even yesterday is, oh my gosh, I am going to be so bored if I have to be structured into some kind of an organizing system.
Right.
It's going to just zap my creativity. So color is the way we can awaken up that system to make it appeal to those people who are really creative. And that's important because those are the people who are most challenged by organization and having structure. So I've got a couple of examples here on the slide which I think are great. These are products and types of systems I've used with many clients. So we definitely want to look at how we can again tap into that client's need for color so that they can be artistic. And this gives them some opportunity to kind of show what it is that they're trying to demonstrate in terms of their creativity. And they also may be tied, just like I gave the example with the kids in the school color, they may have certain colors or certain styles or designs might be tied to certain function for them. So it actually will improve their memory and make it easier for them to find things.
You know, it's interesting, when we first launched Viewables many years ago, the tagline was creating a filing masterpiece. And so the whole idea of the artist, so it is something, if you have creative skills, you can go wild. And now in the new version too, we've added the icons so you can put little pictures on the labels. Again, it's another level of categorization and association. But I just thought that was kind of neat when you're talking about the artist. I mean, a lot of people see this as an artistic tool, although you don't have to be an artist to use it.
Well, and then John, I have to bring up the point that now with the new Viewables.com, Mac users for the first time, who are the creative people.
People who use PCs, not creative at all. Well, no. You got to be careful.
But let's be clear that those folks have been out of the game for a long time because they're Mac users, but that tends to be the people who do things in more creative professions, or even if it's their avocation.
That was one of the main drivers of why we went to the new online version.
It's going to make it so easy.
So the Mac people are going to love it, and
because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're doing it online.
Right.
Yeah, you don't have to do it downloaded to your computer.
Well, and if you want to be real artsy, what you can do is you can get it on either your phone, which internet enabled, or your iPad. And say you're out at a location, or even at your file cabinet, but your place where you print your labels is somewhere else. You can go and you can get all your labels, type them all right in, save them because it all gets saved to the cloud.
I love that feature.
And then you can take it back, access it from a totally different computer once you have your free account set up, and then you can print them there. So it's for people that maybe have to go out to a warehouse or a storage room, and they don't want to, like, they have to, before they had to write them down, write them down, go back, type them in. Now you can go and write with your phone or your iPad or whatever and store it to your free account. So it is opening up a lot more creative options for people.
I think so. I think it's going to make it a real winner for moving forward.
Let's change this to, you asked about earlier whether you can do different kinds of labels. Let's do an oversized label here. Maybe this time we'll get rid of the icon and just put just type something in, you know, bin number 1 or whatever we want.
There we go. Or maybe we can even try something like school supplies.
Okay. Now, if you'd like a color, let's say associated this in the let's do one of the background colors. Let's select a color for school. What are you thinking?
Well, again, let's go with orange because that was the color that was applied to the example I gave on the family that had orange as their school color.
Right. So now we have an oversized label that has all the background color.
And can I put in some text?
Louise, you can do whatever you want. You're having fun with this now, aren't you?
Yeah. Pens and pencils.
Okay.
Okay, and then can I click down another line?
You can go another line down if you want.
And
you have 4 lines on the oversized label.
Let's do markers.
Okay.
Oops. And then finally, let's do colored pencils.
Okay. So if we like this, we're going to save this here to our project. And now you have 2 labels in this project. Now let's say you wanted to do another school supplies label, but not pens, markers, and colored pencils.
Okay.
If you started a new label here, it would just give you a blank label.
Right.
But let's go up here, and we're going to go to our project and duplicate this label.
Oh.
So now we can go over here. It's still school supplies, but let's change this to something like erasers.
Right. Or let's see. I was going to say adhesives.
Okay.
Is a name I use quite a bit.
All right. And if you want to do
another one for let's do scissors.
Okay. And we can come down to the last thing. What's something else that would go in this bin?
One other school supply might be note cards.
Okay. All right, and then we're going to save this. So now you've got 2 named school supplies, but let's say we go back here. This puts up into the editor your original one. You have your copy. It was real easy to make that. Or we go back and we have, remember this one. So we have different
them all
labels
visually there. Okay.
There's other things you could do here. Say you wanted in this everything's together line here, you wanted to bold that. We can come over here to the right and we can choose a bold font, italic or underline, and we have some different font selections available as well. But let's make that one bold, and all of a sudden it becomes bold.
It really jumps out at you now.
And we'll save that. Let's go to our printing down here. Now that would be this label right here. If we select that,
the little printer.
Yep. Then it comes up with what looks like a sheet of viewables. Now in this particular case, let's say this is a sheet that we've not used. We could continue with it. Now let's just say we have already printed 2 labels. We can choose these as used, and it should start now in that 3rd position there. So
so like it used to with your printer, remember.
Right. And it remembers. And when you see, and another advantage to having an account, if we log out here and we come back later, it'll remember the last label sheet you used as well.
So I can take my stock with me from one client to another client, or in an office that might be using this from one desk to another desk, and then they're not going to waste any labels.
Right. Okay, so let's hit continue here. And this is going to pull up a PDF preview of your label sheet. Now, if it's done it right, you notice here there's nothing in the top 2 positions. But it has put our 3 labels that we wanted, and remember they're different. These are the oversized labels, and here's the 3D tab. You can print them all together. And so we'll send those to the printer, and when it comes back, it said, did you labels print okay? We can say yes. If we said no, say for example they came out and they weren't lined up quite right with your printer, we do have an alignment function here if we hit yes, and then it'll allow you to print out a preview of this alignment and change the margins so that the label exactly hits the right place.
You know, so that's why with Viewables I've always printed just a blank
sheet first. You want to make sure, because you don't want to use the label. But
yeah, and also because sometimes when you see it on the screen and then you pull it out, for some of us, we just catch some editing errors that we wouldn't have caught maybe on the screen.
Right.
So that way, this would be great, because you could, what I would usually do, John, is I would take that printed page and I would put the viewables behind it, and I could see what the alignment would look like too.
Right.
So that would even give me a hint before I printed them out that I needed to make some adjustment in my alignment for that particular printer.
Right. Well, this organizing with color stuff is fascinating. We got to take a quick break here, and we're going to finish up when we come back with the last couple points here of why organizing with color is so important. We're with Louise Kurzicka, and we'll be right back.
When you've got it together, everyone can tell. Your confidence is obvious. Introducing Viewables.com from Smead. Use the Viewables labeling system to transform your drawer of hanging files into a tidy, organized filing system. Using the premium hanging folder tabs, see the label from the front, top, and back. It's easy. Access Viewables.com from any computer, tablet, or internet-enabled smartphone. Let's make some labels. It's free, and there's nothing to download or install. Choose the label type and format your label just the way you want. You can even add index characters or icons for distinctive filing. Set up a free Viewables cloud account, and your secure login lets you save your projects for convenient access from any computer. And with Viewables multi-purpose labels, you can use one label for any type of file, including hanging folders, top tab folders, super tab folders, or oversized items like notebooks and file boxes. Upload a list of file headings and print your complete set of labels in moments. There's even a library of templates for commonly used label sets. It's never been easier to set up neat-looking files that have easy-to-read headings and efficient color codes. Obviously organized. Viewables.com. From Smead, keeping you organized.
We are back now on Keeping You Organized, talking about organizing with color. We're joined with Louise Kurzicka, everythingstogether.com. And Louise, I need more of this great information.
Okay. So back to talking about this color and organization. Now let's talk productivity.
Okay.
Because here's where we get to the bottom line piece of it. So we get to
this is back for the PC users now, right?
Yep. Back for those left readers, those pencil pushers, and those bean counters, as we say. Research shows us, and this is Smead research, by the way, that shows us that the real time involved, or the real cost, if you will, involved in maintaining a filing system is in the labor. 80% of it. Wow. 80% of it. So think about that. If there's ways that we can bring that labor cost down, that's going to boost our productivity, right? So said another way, we know that, again, when you introduce color coding into a filing system, that the labor costs can go down as much as 30%. All right, 30%, I want you to think about that. If you have an employee in your business that you're paying $50,000, and let's not even say the 30. Let's just say that maybe at 15% of your productivity is going to increase out of that. Well, what is that? 10. 7,
I should have done 10% because I can't do that math in my head. You know,
exactly.
It's a lot, though, right?
It's a lot. It's I was going to say about $7,500.
Yeah. Okay.
So who wouldn't want to save $7,500 of labor costs? If they could, by simply introducing the system. And of course, sure, there's some costs up front to do it, but nowhere near $7,500 for even a large system. And what's nice is that while we still have a lot of digital systems that we're kind of growing and using, there's still plenty of paper-based systems in businesses that need to be for that active stage of paper as it's moving through. And certainly within homes, while again there's a lot of digital, there's still all this paper that's being processed on a regular basis or needed for a short-term resource. So we want to find ways to be able to do it. And then I think to your point, the misfiled one, is great. Here's some good examples of what it looks like when you misfile something. Well, we know again from research, 2 to 4% of the files in any filing system are going to be misfiled. The hard part is which 2 to 4% are those? Are those the files you're going to be retrieving?
They're the ones you want to get.
Exactly. It always is. It always is. So now you're going to have to pay somebody to reconstruct that particular file system. And years ago, I know you guys did a research study on this, found it was $125 at that time to reconstruct a file that's been lost or misfiled. So I can only imagine that it's more now.
Yeah, the other thing I want to put on a point here for is this straight line filing system, which we kind of show here on the screen. But typically people think, well, I have to have my file staggered in either third or fifth cut, kind of thing. But with the straight line filing, it makes you, first of all, be able to find things a lot quicker, but also identify those misfiles. And if you want to add like 2 or 3 new files, you put them right in, and you don't have to I have to be in the middle tab or the right tab.
That's right. So in the greatest efficiency for any filing system will come if you set it up as a straight line filing system. There are options, though, for ways that you can adapt that. And, of course, Smead has some products now.
We do,
that we can even talk about that allow you to do some shifting of where that tab pops up.
The Flexi folder is one where you can move the tab. And, by the way, you can use the viewables on that tab as well. So it allows you to move the tab, change the color, so it's really, really neat.
So there are some ways that we can adapt that if the system's there. But if you're setting it up new, or if you really want it to be effective and efficient for the long term, then think about investing now in what that startup is. And then that's when you're going to end up with what you're looking for. And that's really the keys to color and organizing, is going backwards, building that productivity, having that creativity, creating better eye appeal, doing the distinction piece, and then remembering that it's all tied to memory. And the easier that we can make it for us to remember, the less cost it is to actually manage that system, the more less stress it is for people who are doing the actual work. And in the long run, the better your system is going to be, because you're actually going to be able to use the information. And that's the thing I think we all fear, is file it away and we never use it again or can't retrieve it. Color coding is going to make that easier, or using color in your system.
Well, we're just about out of time. I want to give people the opportunity to know how to get a hold of you.
You bet.
So give us your contact information and what kind of work you do.
Sure. So Louise Kurzika, Everything's Together is my business name. The phone number is 952-939-8080, or you can email me at louise@everythingstogether.com. I'm a generalist, so I work with both business and residential clients. I tend to work with people who have more lifelong challenges with organization, but I'm also working quite a bit with people who are downsizing. So whether that's baby boomers on to seniors who are transitioning, and that's not just with your filing systems, but with most everything that you're dealing with in your life. Whether that's needing a plan, how you set a staging area, how do you manage the moving day, all of those components.
Now, Louise, also, viewables.com is really easy to use in the whole system, but if someone wanted to hire you to help set up their filing system, maybe for the first time, and get this implemented, is that something you do as well?
Absolutely, and what is interesting about that, that's something that can be done locally, for where I'm located here in the Minnesota area, or that can be done virtually, because of the way the product works and the way that internet tools help us to be able to do that consultation. So yeah, feel free to give me a call and we can talk about it.
Great. Well, it's been great having you on. As usual, we're going to have you back. We always do.
Thank you, John.
Now, folks, you now have a great understanding of not only the new viewables.com, but also how to organize with color, and why it's important and why it's powerful. So we'll see you next time on Keeping You Organized.
Coming up next time on Keeping You Organized.
Let's start with a simple to-do list. Not everything you have to do over your lifetime, but let's just talk about, something you'd have for this week, this month.